Welcome to Good Things Fashion Tutorial. To make a knee length socks, we need a stretchy fabric, either lycra or jersey fabric. Make sure the fabric is very stretchy on both sides, vertically and horizontally. And the first thing we need to do is to fold our fabric by 5 inches. Fold it over by 5 inches. The standard measurement is actually 4 inches, but if you have a thick upper leg, you fold it over by 5 inches, and on the lower side of the measurement, which is going to be where your feet will be, you measure out 4 inches. Then on the upper part where the socks will reach under your knee, you measure out 5 inches in order to accommodate the back side of your leg. And the length is 20 inches. Measure out 20 inches and rule it out like so. Rule it out. Then this is me measuring out 4 inches. You measure out 4 inches, which is the lower part, the feet part of the socks. And at the upper side, I measure out 5 inches to accommodate the back of my knee, the back of my leg. Then this is me ruling it out. You rule out, connect the four inches point to the 5 inches. And and you cut it out. This socks is going to reach just below our knee length. And you know the back of the leg can be fat, but if you know you have a very slim feet, a very slim leg, you can use 4 inches for both the upper side and the lower side. Here I am cutting out the second type of socks, which is the toe socks. A socks that we actually separate our big toe from the rest of the toes so that we can easily wear a slippers. If you want to wear a slippers, this is the best type, and it's basically the same measurement. The only difference is you are going to use 5 inches for both the upper part and the lower part, depending on your measurement on your client's feet. If your client's feet is very fat, very big, you have to adjust accordingly. Here I measured out 5 inches by 20 inches in order to give accommodation for sewing allowance at that toe side. Now the next thing is to mark out our measurement. You go in by 1 inch at the folded side of the fabric where our small toe is going to be. The place where the smallest toe will be, you go in diagonally by 1 inch in this manner. Then you go in, you measure 2 inches vertically and mark it in this manner. Measure 2 inches vertically, and then you join it together with the 1 inch diagonal measurement to form a slant like so. Then go to the open side of the fabric where we are going to have our big toe. You go in diagonally by 0.5 inches. Mark 0.5 inches diagonally like so. And then you will draw it and slant it, and then cut out your measurements. Cut out the slant measurement that we made on the two sides. And this is what we have. Now, in order to make that toe allowance, you measure from the upper side of that toe area. Measure 2 inches downward in this manner. Measure 2 inches downward. Then go to the side and measure inward by 1.5 inches. The half inch is for sewing allowance. You measure 2 inches downward and like so. Draw it down like so. Then you go in by 1.5 inches from the side, and then you cut out that slit to make allowance for our big toe. And this is what we have after cutting it out. This is what we have. Then we are going to sew it. Now this is the regular socks, the socks that we made earlier on. We also mark out our measurements as usual. Go in at the small toe area, go in by 1 inch diagonally and 2 inch 2 inches vertically and draw your line. Then on the toe area, on the big toe area, go in by 0.5 inches. Draw your slant line and cut out your measurements, trim them out. That's for the regular socks without the toe allowance. Now we are going to sew our socks, and the first one I'm making is the regular socks. You start from the small toe area where we came down, where we draw 2 inches down. You start joining from there and continue to sew it round, gently guiding the fabric, not pulling it too much so that you don't distort the sewing and make a gather. So you continue to sew it, guide it gently until you get to the end of the fabric, and that is the regular socks. Make sure you weave the upper part of the socks before turning it, before hemming it. Weave it, take it to weaving machine and weave it before turning it down. Then the next thing is to sew socks, our two socks, and you also start from the small toe side of the socks. You start sewing from that folded area where we made allowance for 2 inches for the small toe slant area. You start sewing it and guide the fabric round, gently guiding it and sewing it. If you have to lift your footer, make sure you leave your needle in the fabric. As you turn the fabric, always leave your needle in the fabric, especially at the big toe area. Gently guide it round, leaving your needle in the fabric as you sew, and guide it in this manner in order to bring out the shape of the big toe. Make sure you take into consideration the size of your client's feet. If he's a very slim person, you can still use 4.5 for that, for this measurement for toe socks at the feet area. But for a big person who has a bit bigger leg, you can use 5 inches in order to make allowance for sewing. And that's why I use 5 inches for both the upper part and the lower part of the toe socks. After sewing it, this is what we have. Also make sure you weave the edge of the upper part before turning it and sewing it down. Especially take it to a weaving machine and weave the edge. At the end of the sewing, this is what we have. You can see the toe socks. That's the toe socks. It separates the toe from the big toe from the rest of the toes. And you can also see the regular socks. Very neat and exactly the right size. Because if it's too tight, it can cut off the blood supply to your feet and it will be very inconvenient. Thank you for watching.